Hello, dear students. Welcome to English class. Today we are going to learn the eighth lesson, that is Watchman of the Lake, written by R.K. Narayan. Before going with the lesson, we shall understand about the author. R.K. Narayan was born on 10th October 1906 and died on 13th May 2001. He was an Indian author whose works of fiction include a series of books about people and their interactions in an imagined town in India called Malgudi. About R.K. Narayan, we come to know that he was an Indian author, Indian writer, we can say. His works of fiction means literature in the form of prose, that can be novels, stories, or it can be imagination. That fiction includes a series of books about the people and their interactions in an imagined town in India called Malgudi. According to R.K. Narayan, there's a town of his imagination called Malgudi. And in that town, the behavior of the people, the interactions of the people have been mentioned in his book. He is one of three leading figures of early Indian literature in English, along with Mulk Raj Anand and Raja Rao. There were three famous personalities who have contributed initially to the English literature, and they are Mulk Raj Anand, Raja Rao, and of course R.K. Narayan. They have contributed to Indian literature in English. He is credited with bringing Indian literature in English to the rest of the world and is regarded as one of India's greatest English novelists. So he gets the credit or the name or the fame for bringing Indian literature in English to the rest of the world. He introduces Indian literature in English to the rest of the world. He is regarded as one of India's greatest English novelists. Narayan rarely wrote plays, and the present one is said to be a dramatized version of his short story, The Watchman. Here we come to know that R.K. Narayan did not write many plays, and he writes hardly or seldom. And this present play, that is Watchman of the Lake, it is said to be a dramatized dramatized part of his short story, The Watchman. This particular drama is taken from the short story of R.K. Narayan's The Watchman. So that's it for now about R.K. Narayan. Now let us understand The drama written by R.K. Narayan. Let us understand pre-reading activity. Why do you think lakes are drying up? This is a question for you. Just think about it. Why do the lakes dry up? There can be various reasons for the lakes to dry. First one is, of course, change in climates or weather. There's no proper rain. And another cause can be global warming. Excessive use of water or wastage of water could also be the reason for drying up of the lakes. Second question, what could be done to save them? Just think upon this question. What can you do to save the lakes? The answer can be, first of all, we need to avoid wastage of water. We need to save water. We need to plant more and more trees. We can also dig more and more lakes. And there can be other methods or ways also to save the lakes. So that's about pre-reading activity. Now let us understand the drama. First of all, let us check characters of the drama. I insist all of you kindly take the book in your hand and go through your textbook line by line. I am going to explain. Dramatis personae. This word is taken from the Latin word dramatis personae, which means characters of the drama. So what are the characters of this drama, Watchman of the Lake? The first important character is village headman. We can also call him village leader or elderly person of the village, or we can say Sarpanch of the village panchayat. Next character is king. Next is Mara, watchman of the lake. Ganga, his son. Here his refers to Mara's son. Ganga is the son of Mara. Next character is son, Ganga's son, which means Mara's grandson. Next character is Bhima, a road worker, day laborer we can say. And there are other minor character also. Other characters in the sense other road workers, other people who are there in the drama. So that's about the characters of drama. There is a village headman, king, Mara, watchman of the lake, Ganga, his son, Ganga's son, Bhima, a road worker, and others. There's a brief introduction before beginning the scene. Let us understand the introduction. On the eastern base of Baba Budan Hills in Karnataka state, there is an obscure little place now called Sakrepatna, which at one time, 1,000 or more years ago, was the capital of a king called Rukmangada. By these lines, we understand that in Chikmagaluru district, there are Baba Budan Giri hills. Obviously, it is in Karnataka. And in Chikmagaluru district, there's a small place, a little place, obscure in the sense unknown or unclear place, which is not much famous. Not many of them know about that particular place, and that place is Sakrepatna, which at one time, 1,000 or more years ago, was the capital of a king called Rukmangada. So this particular place, Sakrepatna, was once 1,000 or more years ago the capital of a king, and that king was Rukmangada. In the center of this town, there is a shrine which is dedicated not to distant gods or heroes, but to a rustic who was watchman of a lake called Ayyankere, 4 miles from the town. So in the center of this Sakrepatna town, there is a shrine. Shrine means it can be a tomb, grave, or we can say temple or holy place. And that holy place or the grave is devoted or dedicated not to distant gods. Usually we build temples for gods. And here we understand that grave was not built for far off gods or distant gods or any hero, but to a rustic. Rustic means a simple or a common man. He was watchman of a lake, and the name of the lake was Ayyankere. And this Ayyankere lake was 4 miles away from the town. And the name of the town I have already told you, that is Sakrepatna. For the purpose of this little drama, let us call him Mara, which is as good as any other name handed down to us by tradition. So here in this drama, let us call the watchman of the lake as Mara. This is a most popular name in our tradition, in our heritage, culture, or custom. This name Mara was very popular, therefore, we take the name of the watchman of the lake as Mara. I hope you are following me and understanding this. So that's about the introduction. Now let us move on to scene 1. What happens in the scene 1? A village at the foot of a hill, road menders at work. There is a village at the foot of a hill, down the hill or under the hill. And in that village, road menders, which means road workers, are working. The opening dialogue from the village headman. He speaks, "Go on, boys, go on with your work." He tells the road workers, "Go on, boys, go on with your work." He tells them to hurry up, work quickly. "Hey, you, Racha, why do you stand looking at the sky?" He questions a person whose name is Racha, asks him why he had stood looking at the sky. "You there, you wretched dog, I will push you into the stream if I catch you again gossiping with your neighbor." Now the village headman is warning someone that he would push him into the stream. Stream in the sense a small water body. He warns him, saying, if he sees him again gossiping or talking with his neighbor, he would push him into the stream. He calls him a wretched dog. A wretched dog means unlucky man or the beggar. It also means poor man. "You dwarf there, have you no better business than giggling and talking?" He addresses another person whom he calls dwarf. Dwarf means a person who is very small in size. And he asks him whether he has no other business than giggling. Giggling means laughing and talking. "The road must be ready before the king arrives." The village headman is warning the road menders, saying, the road must be ready before the king arrives. "Just think for a moment, fools, how we should all look if the king suddenly came upon us." He is suggesting them, calling them fools, to think how they should all look when the king suddenly happens to come there. Just think, he will be there this time tomorrow. The village headman is advising that the king would be present the next day. Go on with your work, brother." He is insisting some other guy and saying, work quickly or faster. "Anyway, what makes you all so merry?" The village headman is again questioning the road menders. What makes you so much happy? Merry in the sense happy. Let me know and share the joke. Usually, when you people talk or laugh in the class, the teacher ask this commonly. Tell me also the joke so that I can also laugh. In the same sense, the village headman is questioning the road benders. Let me know and share the joke. Come here, commanding. Come here. Why are you both laughing? So he calls the people who were laughing and questions them why were they laughing. Tell me, don't blink. What is it? So he asks them to tell the truth and not to wink their eyes or blink their eyes. He asked them, what was it? Two timid voices. So, two persons they speak out. Timid means fearful. The synonym of timid is fearful. So, two fearful voices speak out. Master, we were doing our work all right, but they say that, Master or Sir, we were doing our work all right. They hesitate to speak out because they are feared of the village headman. And they say they were doing their work properly, sincerely, but they do not continue. Headman asks them, but what? Then the timid workmen reply, it is Mara. So they say, Master, we were doing our work all right, but it was Mara. Headman, ah, Mara? What about him? Is that lunatic anywhere here? So the village headman asked them surprisingly, ah, Mara? What about him? What did he do? Is that lunatic anywhere here? Here, lunatic means a crazy man, mad person, idiot, fool, or stupid, whatever. So he is questioning, is that lunatic, is that bad guy anyway here? Timid workman. Yes, he was behind that rock and peeped at us. When you called, he ran away. So one of the workmen who is fearful, he says, yes, Mara was there behind the rock and he was looking. Peeped means looking at once. And Mara was looking at the workers hiding. When you called, he ran away. When the headman, he called these two people, then he runs away from there. Headman, where is he now? Which way did he go? Village headman is questioning these timid workers. Where is Mara? Which way did he go? Timid workman. He sprang off like a buck and ran up the hill. So one of the worker who is afraid, he says he sprang. Sprang means he jumped off like a buck. Here buck means deer. How did Mara run? He jumped off like a deer and ran up the hill. He went up the hill. Headman, here, stop all work, put down your spades and crowbars and run and close round. Stop all ways out. catch that thief and bring him here. Stun him with a blow. If he resists, bring him at once. Go. So the village headman gets angry on Mara and he commands his workers to stop all the work. He tells them to put down their spades and crowbars. These are the instruments used in agriculture work, road work. Spades and crowbars. You can Google for the particular images if you are not getting what is spade and crowbars. Spades are used to collect mud or stones or any other particles. Crowbars also are similar like spades. Just check on the Google, you will get the clear pictures. So the village headman is commanding them, run and close around. Stop always out. Catch that thief and bring him here. So close all the roads and then catch that thief. Thief means a robber, one who steals, and commands them to bring Mara near him. Stun him with a blow if he resists. If at all Mara refuses to come, then he says, beat him hard. Stun means knock or beat with a blow. At once beat him if he refuses or resists, he says. Bring him at once. Go. So he commands them, bring Mara right now. Go, he commands. The workmen throw down their implements and scatter about. They return crying, Master, here he is. So the workers listen to the command of the village headman and throw down all their instruments, implements, whatever they had in their hands, like spades and crowbars. And they return crying, saying, Master, here he is. So the workmen, they scatter everywhere. Scatter means they spread everywhere, and they are successful in catching Mara, and they bring him near the village headman. Mara, you worthless dog, have I not told you to keep away from here? So the village headman is questioning Mara now. First of all, he scolds him. He calls him worthless dog, which means valueless dog or useless dog, and questions him that had he not told him to keep away from there. By which we understand that village headman had already warned Mara not to disturb the work of the road menders, and but still he was there. Mara, yes, my master. Mara agrees and says, yes, master, you had told me. Headman, what do you mean by coming here and disturbing my workmen? Headman is questioning Mara. Why did you come here and disturbed my workmen? Mara, I am not disturbing them. I am here on my own work. Let them go on with theirs. So Mara is responding that he wasn't disturbing any of the worker. He was there on his own work. He says that he had some other work there, and the workmen let them do their work. Headman, don't talk of your work. So, village headman warns him not to talk about his work and calls him fool. You are a lunatic. See here, he scolds him saying fool and lunatic. Lunatic means, I've already told you, mad or crazy, stupid, idiot. Know it. Don't imagine you have any kind of work. The only work you have now is to disappear. So the village headman tells Mara to know about him that he was a lunatic, a mad, crazy boy, and not to imagine that he had any kind of work there, and the only work that he had was to disappear from the workplace. Then Mara asked the questions, why so? Why he had to disappear from the workplace? Headman says, don't ask, which means don't question. I have told you the reason 20 times. The king is passing this way, and I don't want him to know that our village has such fools as you. So the village headman warns him not to ask any question, for he had already told the reason 20 times to Mara that the king was passing that way, and he did not want the king to know that his village had such fools as Mara. Mara, I don't feel I am a fool. Now Mara says that he doesn't feel that he was a fool. Headman, now listen. Keep out of our view the next 2 days when the king passes this way and back. The village headman is warning him. He tells him to listen and keep out of his view for the next 2 days when the king passes that way and he goes back. Otherwise, he would have locked up in the cellar behind that old temple. Headman is warning him not to come there in front of their view for next 2 days. If at all he comes there while the king passes from that road, if at all he appears there, he would lock him in the cellar. Cellar means underground room. It's like a prison or jail. And that cellar was behind that old temple. There was a temple, old one, and behind that temple there's an underground room, and there he would lock him up. Mara, I will sit there and pray. So comically, Mara responses saying that he would sit there and pray if at all the village headman locks him up in the cellar behind that old temple. If that god in the temple thinks I have work to do, he will take me out. So he talks sarcastically, tells the village headman that he would sit there and pray in the cellar, and if at all the god who is there in the temple, thinks that Mara had to do any work, the god himself would release him from that cellar. Headman, now get out of my presence. You fellows, why do you all stand gaping at me? Get on with your work. So the village headman orders Mara to get lost from his presence, and he also shouts at the road workers saying, you fellows, why do you all stand gaping at me? Here, gaping means staring or looking at him. And he tells them, get on with your work. Do your work, he commands. Mara. Once again, the goddess of the river came to me in the dream and said, the king is coming this way. Tell him about the tank. He will listen. Here, Mara shares his opinion about his dream. He says that once again the goddess had appeared in his dream and said that the king was coming the same way, and tell him about the tank. Here, tank refers to the lake. Tell him about the lake, and the king would listen. Headman, don't tell me that again. You and your dream. I feel tempted to kick you. So the village headman is warning him not to tell him about his dream. And if at all he does so, he feels tempted to kick him. Mara, what have I said to offend you so much, sir? Are you jealous that the goddess comes to me rather than to you in dream? Shall I repeat the very words she uttered? So Mara questions him, what crime has he done to get angry on him? He questions again whether the village headman was jealous because the goddess comes in Mara's dream rather than village headman's dream. He asks again whether he wanted to repeat the very words the goddess of river had said to him in the dream. Headman, no, be off, and like a good fellow, keep to your backyard till the king departs. Headman says, don't tell me about your dream about the goddess. No need to listen about the words that the goddess had uttered, and warns him or commands him to go off, get out, or get lost, be off. And like a good fellow, keep to your backyard till the king departs. So he wants him to behave as a good fellow and be in his backyard till the king departs from the same way. I will give you a fine gift if you behave yourself. The village headman says, if at all Mara behaves well, does his work properly, he would give him a gift. Mara, another person has already given me the greatest gift any man could give. Shall I say who that person is? And the village headman says if he behaves well, he would gift him something. Then Mara questions the village headman, saying, another person has already given him the greatest gift that any man could give him, and asks him, should he say who had given him that gift, the name of the person, headman. Oh, who is that great man? The village headman asked curiously the name of that great man who had given him the gift. Mara says, my father in law. Mara says his father in law had given him the greatest gift, which means Mara's wife. That is the gift his father in law had given him. The workmen laugh at this joke. So the workmen laugh loudly at this joke. Headman shouting in anger. He gets angry and shouts, stop laughing, everyone. I will starve you all without work if I catch you again laughing at this fellow's mad prattle. Village headman commands the workers, saying, stop laughing, everyone. And if they laugh, he will make them starve. Starve means suffer in hunger without the work. And if he at all catches them again laughing at Mara's mad jokes, prattle means jokes, silly joke. Shut up, come here, Bhima. So he commands the people to shut up and asks Bhima to come near him. Throw down your crowbar. He commands Bhima to throw down his crowbar. I have another piece of work for you. Come here. So the village headman is telling Bhima to throw his crowbar, and he had some other work for him. He asks him to come near him. Bhima, yes, master, I have come. What is your command? Bhima asks politely the village headman that he had already come, and questions what was the command for himself. Headman, bind this fellow hand and foot and throw him into the cellar behind the old temple and keep him there till the day after tomorrow. Do you understand? So the village headman gives Mara the new work, that is binding Mara, his hands and foot, and throw him into the cellar behind the old temple. He had already warned him, if he does not behave himself, then he would throw him in the cellar behind the old temple. So he commands Bhima to put him in the cellar behind the old temple and keep him there till the day after tomorrow. He tells him to keep him till the day after tomorrow. Do you understand? He questions him. Bhima, yes, master. Bhima responds positively. Headman, Mara, have a look at this giant. He can swing an elephant by its tail. So have a care. If you try any tricks on him, he will crush you between his thumb and forefinger. Now the village headman is warning Mara to be careful. He tells him to look at the giant Bhima. who was very strong, fat. He tells Mara about the ability of Bhima, saying that Bhima would swing an elephant by its tail. That much capability, the power Bhima has, that he could swing an elephant catching its tail. So have a care. If you try any tricks on him, he will crush you between his thumb and forefinger. So if at all Mara tries any tricks or tries to escape from Bhima, what Bhima would do? He would crush Mara between his thumb and forefinger. Mara, how did you manage to grow so fat? Mara is questioning Bhima, asking him, how did he manage to grow so fat? Bhima, my mother gave me iron decoction when I was a baby, and at every dawn I run up the hill with a large grindstone on my back. It is a very big stone. You can't move it even an inch. So Bhima is replying to the question of Mara, that how did he become or grow so fat? He says that his mother had given him iron decoction. Iron decoction means a homemade remedy when he was a baby. When he was a small baby, his mother had given him iron contained juice. And every evening, down means every sunset or every evening, Bhima used to run up the hill with a large grindstone on his back. And that grindstone was very big stone, which could not be moved an inch by Mara. Headman, here don't answer his questions. Don't allow him to talk to you. So the village headman is warning Bhima not to answer to the questions of Mara, and he tells Bhima not to allow him to talk to Bhima. Mara, why not? I too would like to grow fat and strong. If taking iron decoction and carrying grindstones uphill could make me strong, why should I not try it? Maybe you will not think me mad then. Mara says that why he should not talk. He too would like to grow fat and strong. If taking iron decoction and carrying grindstones uphill could make him strong, why shouldn't he try it? Which means Mara also wanted to become fat, he wanted to become strong, so he wanted to drink iron decoction and also wanted to carry the huge grindstone on his back and climb up the hill. Maybe then the village headman would not think that he was mad. Bhima, you can't take the decoction now. Your mother should have put it into you before you were 10 days old. So Bhima advises him, saying that Mara cannot take the decoction now because he has already grown up, and the right time was to take the decoction when he was a small baby of 10 days old. Headman: Bhima, don't you talk to him. Don't you see he is your prisoner? Headman questions Mara. Can't you see that Mara is your prisoner? Don't talk to him, he orders. Bhima: Yes, yes, I will be careful hereafter. But who will do my work here? Bhima replies, saying, he will be careful thereafter. And he questions who would do his work, road bending. Headman: Don't concern yourself with it. He says, don't worry or don't bother about the work. You will get your wages all the same, perhaps a quarter more, if you do this bit of work well. He says, don't worry about your work. You will get your salary, wages. Wages means salary or pay, money, amount. And perhaps a quarter more. You will get a little more if you do this bit of work well. If you catch Mara and put him in the cellar behind the old temple, he would get a quarter more wages for his work. Now take him away and sit over him till the evening of the day after tomorrow. So he commands or orders Bhima to take Mara and put him in the cellar and sit on him till the evening of the day after tomorrow. Take him away, drag him like an animal if he resists. So the village headman orders Bhima to take Mara away. He tells him to drag Mara like an animal if he refuses. Mara: No, no, I won't resist. I will go with him gladly. Come on, come on. I will tell you all about my dreams as we go. Mara says that he won't refuse or resist. He would go with him happily. Gladly means happily. He calls Bhima, come on, come on. I will tell you all about my dream as we go. Mara tells Bhima that as they go, he would tell him all about his dream. Headman: Bhima, don't allow him to do that. He wants to talk to you and slip away while you are listening. So the village headman orders Bhima not to allow him to talk to him or to listen to him, because Mara wants to talk to Bhima and escape. Slip means escape away while he was listening. Now bind up his wrists together with your turban and drag him behind you. The village headman orders Bhima to tie up Mara's wrists, hands together with his turban. Turban means the towel or the cloth which is tied to the head, and tells him to drag him behind Bhima. Gag him if possible. Gag him if possible means put a piece of cloth in his mouth. That is good. Now it should quieten him. So, listening to the order of the village headman, Bhima puts a piece of cloth in the mouth of Mara, and so the village headman says that is good, and that piece of cloth should quieten Mara. He becomes silent. Now begone. How our time has been wasted. Now swing your arms faster. So after putting a piece of cloth into Mara's mouth, the village headman orders him to move from there, to go from there, be gone. And he realizes how their time had been wasted because of Mara. And he commands the workers to swing their arms faster, to move their arms, hands faster. You must have the path ready even if you have to work by lamplight after dark. He wants the workers that the path should be ready by the night. Even if they had to work under lamplight, they had to finish the work that evening or that night itself. So that's about scene 1. I hope you all have followed. If any queries are there regarding scene 1 of Watchman of the Lake, kindly contact me and I am there to help you out. So that's it for this class. Thank you very much. Have a nice time.